which is represented in more than 70 countries. We have more than 14 years of experience in home security solutions, and we are really proud that 9 of the 10 installers are recommending our systems to other installers. Today's topics: a remote connection to your customer. It's the first topic, how to make that connection, how to set up the system to maybe able to connect to your customer if you need to alter some settings. So we will cover up all the details, how to make that possible, how to make it possible. Sorry for background sound. If anyone is trying to unmute the microphone, please do not do that because it will disturb the webinar. We are trying to do our best with the technical part, but try to do not turn on your microphones. Thank you. Okay, remote maintenance. We will bring idea of maintaining the system remotely. So it is really crucial for some customers to get a fast response from you to maintain the system if anything goes wrong, or maybe the customer has some issues which he is not available to change or maybe solve. So in this case, remote maintenance is really a good way of helping the client. Remote Pitbull Pro installation. We will try to cover up all the details and step-by-step guide how to install the Pitbull or how to ready up the Pitbull for installation for a client. So in that part, I will try to discuss and show you all the details, what you should do, how you should prepare this device to send to the customer. And additional features. So we'll be discussing additional features which can be added remotely. So our system is growing instantly. We're making new features in 384 or Pitbull Pro. So it's a good possibility to update the system and give the customers new values. So remote connection. Let's start from it. A simple way to securely connect to the installation. So how is it done and why is it important? Remote solution demand is growing and our world is efficiency is meaning more and more. So as the market is changing, we need to react fastly. So remote solutions are more and more demanded. Being prepared to connect remotely may save the time. So if you're not prepared to connect remotely to the client, it is possible that you may miss opportunity to leave client satisfied if he has any appropriate maybe issues which has to be solved or maybe easily solved remotely. Fast reaction times. So fast reaction times mostly mean happy customers. If we have any customers which have any ideas or which has to be dealt with, so we need to react fast. So that's the goal. Okay, so remote connection to your customer and things to know. What we may be missing sometimes. Remote connection is a safe way to connect to the security panel. So it is encrypted way. We are safe to have that connection. We don't need to be afraid of that connection because it's really safe. Device should not be armed at the moment of remote session start. So we need to understand that devices which are armed are not considered as prepared for a remote connection. So we need to disarm the system and later on we can connect remotely. So if we have armed system, we can send SMS, we can use cloud, we can use different ways how to disarm the system. And after system is disarmed, only then we can connect remotely. Next step. For remote connection, we need a phone number and SMS code. That's a two-factor security. At first, we need a phone number. Later on, we need an SMS connection, and we are able to connect to the system if it's disarmed. Afterwards, if the system is protected with the installer code, if the installer code is changed from the default one, then it means we will have to type installer code when we are connecting to the system, because it is protected. So we need to remember the installer code if we are if we want to be able to connect to that system. Okay, so what is the types of remote connection? We have 3 types. Each type have some varieties as well. So the first one is remote connection via remote server. The first type is using the proxy server, and we recommend this type because it's most safe, because you and your device is connecting to our remote server. So it's the most convenient way of connecting. The second way is to host the TCP/IP server on your PC. So you can host a server and you can ask the panel to connect to your PC to be able to configure the system. And the third possible way of connecting is remote connection via ELAN alarm. So this third way may be considered as the fastest one, because ELAN alarm provides faster connection. Of course, it depends on your local network. Okay, so the first type. If we're using the first type of connection, so we are trying to connect to the system. How we do that? So let's send an SMS message. As you see in the slide, we send a message which contains SMS password. So in this case, SMS password is 1234, but of course it may be different from the system to the system. And we need to type in the command stconfig. After we send this command, we should get the response that the system is connected, and the IMEI code is as listed below. The IMEI code is a unique number of the system which allows us to connect to the particular panel, so we didn't miss anything, so we do not miss anything. Just a reminder that if we know an IMEI code, it doesn't mean that we can connect to the system anytime. Each time we are planning to connect, we need to send an SMS message, which is shown here. And after we send the message, we get a confirmation. So this response, which is shown here, it is as a confirmation that the system is connected. So in the system after connection, it is connected for 20 minutes. And after 15 minutes, you will get a notification that we need to prolong the time of the connection, or you can skip and you can disconnect. So that's up to you. So just don't forget that it's each time we need to connect, we need to send the message. So the first connection type is using GPRS data. It's a mobile data. And the second part uses ELAN alarm communicator. So if we have ELAN-free alarm communicator, we can connect via our local network. We use this network to get to the server, and we can send a different type of command. So if you see, we need to additionally add numbering of the ELAN. Okay, so these 2 types can be sent from the phone. We will try that in practice. I'll show you it a bit later. The second way of connecting remotely. This type of connection is initiated by sending SMS command to Eldes device. The connection may be established via GPRS, and we need to send this type of command. That's an example on the right side. So we need SMS code, we need a command, and we need IP address, plus we need to show the port number, which will lead us to the physical address of that device. So we will try this type of connection as well. We will see how it looks in the utility to find out how it works. And this type of connection is running the server on our PC. So we'll need to host the server, and then we need to connect from the device. Okay, so and the third is a remote connection via ELAN-free alarm. This type of connection do not require any initiation. That is how it's made. You can connect to the device each up to 24 hours, 7 days a week. And device can be accessed as external and internal. networks, so two different types. If we are connecting from the internal network, we don't need any additional altering of the network topology or settings. And if we are connecting from external network, it is needed for us to set up the port forwarding for ELAN alarm. So we need to port forward port 5000, and that way we could connect to the ELAN alarm by this port. Okay, so let's proceed to the Let's proceed to the utility. Okay. And I will try to share my screen of my phone, of my mobile phone. Okay, so that's the screen of the mobile phone. And we just try to send the command to one of our test panels. So let's try to do that. After sending the message, the panel should be connecting to the remote server. And we try to wait for that response, which should be sent. So as you hear from the background speech, it was EVKB5 keypad. It informs that remote connection is active. And as you see, after it responds with remote configuration is active, we get an IME number, which we can use to connect remotely. So at this point, I can connect remotely, but it is open for everyone to connect, so you will be able to connect as well. So if I pick first part of connection, I can try to use this number to connect to the panel, and I can use that to connect. So let's try to connect to the panel, and we're reading the settings from the device.
Excuse me, can you hear me? We would like to...
I will try to ask for writing the questions in the chat, because it will allow us to make more fluent or maybe more informative webinar for all of listeners.
Sorry, but we can see.
If it is possible, just write your questions in the chat, and I will try to answer them promptly. Sorry, my screen sharing was paused somehow. If you see on the left, there's information which I was talking about. It is a command which should be sent. It is response, and I am already connected to the panel. So after connecting to the panel, I can configure the system. Okay, and we could see all the settings here. We're able to configure the device as we speak. Okay, so the next way of connection, try to disconnect from the panel. Stop remote connection. Okay, so device is disconnected and I should get a response. As you see, response came, configuration is stopped. If I want to stop the configuration, I can send a different type of message, which is end config. I will show it later on. And let's try to use different type of connection. Okay. So we saw the first possible way of connecting. The next possible way is to ask the device to connect to our PC. So here we can see it is all the settings we need to set up. Firstly, we need to run a server on our PC. As you see, start local server, and the port to connect to our server is 5000. So I'm already hosting the server, and after I press continue, I am running the local server and I'm waiting for a device to connect. So that is the second way of connection. And in this case, as mentioned, we need to send the device message which is containing sdconfig and IP address, which is shown here, or IP address of your PC, external IP address, and the port number, which will lead to local address. Okay. Okay, and let's proceed. So, and the third way of connection would be via Ethernet communicator. So ELAN free alarm. In this case, we don't need any additional commands to be sent to the device, because ELAN free alarm is a network device which can be accessed all the time. It doesn't mean it is insecure. It is meaning that it's a bit easier to connect, but we need to set up the connection correctly for us to be able to connect later on. So let's see how it looks. Okay, so remote connection setup wizard. Here we can see we pick the third type, and we can pick which IP address we will use. So if we are connecting from the external network, we will type here some external IP address, which will lead us to IP address of ELAN free alarm, and the port which is forwarded to that device. So in this case, I am connecting from the internal network and I'm typing internal address. In this case, port is not necessary at all. So let's try to connect. As we see, we're connecting to the device. Okay, so we are connected to the device. So as you see, the connection run a bit faster, but as I mentioned, it depends on your local network or external network. Is it fast or no? So in some cases, it's a more easy way, more convenient, more fast way, but it may depend on your network provider. Okay, so that's the three types of remote connection. And let's proceed to remote maintenance. So remote maintenance. It allows the skilled installer to maintain system and exclude any visits to the installation if that's possible, of course. And it's a fantastic way of raising efficiency, and what's best, no need to spend time in the traffic jams. So as you saw, we're not having traffic jams at all at the moment because of coronavirus. But in the day-to-day basis, we are having a lot of traffic jams, so it's a good way to just bypass that. So the most common applications for remote maintenance would be battery replacement. In some cases, battery replacement is considered as a visit to installation, but in some cases we could try to avoid it, and we could send the batteries to the customer. We could mark the batteries, which batteries needed for which devices, and when the customer is already at place, we could guide the customer how to replace these batteries. So I'll be talking about that a bit in more detail a bit later. And configuration upgrade and altering. In some occasions, clients may need any adjustment for their configuration. They may be using a different types of arming, or they may be needing additional functions. So in some cases, we need to allow a customer to have some additions. And the practical solution for system trouble identification. So if we have any system troubles, we're able to see these troubles in the cloud app. We could see that by connecting remotely. And some customers, maybe more advanced customers, may see these troubles in the keypads, and they may be telling us that, or maybe informing us about these troubles. So we could deal with these troubles. Not all, of course, of them can be dealt remotely, but most of them can. So let's proceed. The battery replacement. Remote connection will help to identify which batteries should be replaced. So we will go to the step-by-step how we could check that. The new batteries have to be sent to the customer, as mentioned before, and the customer should be ready to replace these batteries. Of course, if you have a customer who cannot anyhow to replace the batteries, in this case here, we should organize the visit to the customer. But in most cases, it's a simple battery exchange, and customers know how to do that. So what we need to do step by step. Let's connect the device remotely. So let's presume that we are connected to the device remotely already. And let's see the utility view. Okay, so I'm connected to the eSIM 384. I'm connected from the dashboard. You can see it is a remote connection. And in the peripheral devices section, I already have some of the devices. I can see the status of these devices, and I can see the battery status of these devices. So in my case, I don't have any problems with the batteries. They're still new and they don't need to be replaced. But if we have batteries which already drained, we could identify them and we could tell the customer which of the devices it is. In my case, it's zone 18, but in the customer case, it may be the kitchen door, it may be kitchen window. So we could guide the customer which device and where it is located, and that the customer should change the batteries. Before customer tries to open the boxes of the devices, we need to ensure the service mode is enabled. So let's go to the dashboard section. Let's press service mode and let's enable. When the service mode is enabled, device will not cause an audible alarm by tampers or by alarms. So it is a good way of changing the batteries, and the client will be happy. After batteries are changed, we need to inspect what is the battery level. Is it correct? Because in some cases, if we're not sending the batteries, but the customer is changing the batteries by himself, he may plugging in not correct batteries or maybe already drained batteries. So we need to inspect that everything is okay with the battery level. So that is a must. And of course, while we are connected remotely and the customer is changing or replacing the batteries, we can call the customer and we could assist him by the phone. So it's the easiest way. And of course, for some customers, it will be easier if we show the manuals. Or we could show the device itself and show how to change batteries by video call. So we can show the device, we could show where batteries are placed, we could show how to open up the device, and we could show the whole process of removing the batteries from the device and connecting the batteries to the device. So that is a good way of doing that. Just in case, try to tell customers that the polarity is not matched, but marked on the PCB. So they have to see the polarity and they have to place the batteries according to the polarity. Okay, so configuration, upgrade and altering. We can upgrade the configuration or maybe alter the configuration. That's a few possible ways what we can do with the configuration. When our system 384 and Pitbull is improving and improving, we add new features which may be handy for the customers. So these features may be proposed for customers, and it is good to show customers what they can do with these systems, so we can propose it. Customer needs may changing, so if the customer needs are changed, we could consult with the customer and we could try to match the configuration to the customer needs. We could add additional automation, we could add additional features to his panel, because it's easy for us and it's additional value for a customer. And system has a new owner. It happens rarely, but sometimes it happens. System or apartment may have a new owner, and we may be maintaining the same system and maybe having a new customer introduction, how the system works, and etc. So one of the ways what we can do, so let's update the firmware to have a new features. How we can do that? Let's disconnect from our system and try to use command photo. Photo command will update the firmware of our device, and if the customer wants a new feature which is released in the new firmware, at first we need to upgrade the firmware. So let's go to the phone screen and see how this command looks. Okay, so let's send the command to the panel, which will contain the command photo. So here we see the command photo, and we're sending this command to the customer. Oh, sorry, not for a customer, but for a panel. Okay, so the command is sent, and we should get a response that the system is updating, and it should show us timing when it will be done. Let's wait for a response. Okay, we have a response. Photo started. It may take up to 20 minutes. So mostly it takes from 10 to 20 minutes. We need to wait for it, and the system will update to the newest firmware. So let's wait, and while system is updating, we can proceed with our slides. Okay, so one of the practical solutions for system trouble identification. System troubles are displayed on the dashboard section. So we could see all the faults should be located in the system fault section. It is located in the dashboard. And if we see any faults which are occurring not expectedly, because there may be some faults which are present in the system, and it is okay for system to have these faults, like wired siren fault. If we don't have any wired siren, it's normal for system to have that fault, but we can just turn it off for the customer. But in the system fault section, we will see that because it's a dashboard and we should see all this information. Most of the system faults will require a visit of the installation. In some cases, yes, if it's occurring, if we don't know what it is, we need to visit installation. But in some cases, it's a tamper, maybe it's something in addition, so it may be some enclosure is opened, it's maybe a date and time not set, so we can set date and time remotely. In some cases, the system may have an wireless device disconnected, so we may exchange the batteries and the device will go back to the state which is normal. So we don't need to rush to the installation. We need to inspect the system remotely and only when decide what we should do. So it's the most easiest way, I think, which can be managed. Okay, so and the list of troubles that may not require to travel to installation. So it's the main power loss. If the power loss occurring, it may be restoring or not. It may depend on the installation, but in some cases it's not our jurisdiction. Low battery events, of course, batteries exchange, and we have a new battery, so it will go. The trouble will go off. RF jammer detected. Of course, if we have RF jammer, when it will be removed, of course, the trouble will go away as well. GSM connection fail. If there is some temporary GSM problems, maybe it's a problem of the GSM carrier, it can be removed afterwards, and the problem will not be and will be not needing to visit installation. And critical CO levels. So if we have any critical CO levels, of course, it's really important fault. But of course, if the CO levels are normalizing again, we'll have that fault restored. Okay, so, and just don't forget that faults can be disabled for users, and if it's not necessary for them to see the faults, which are not giving any information for customer, we could just turn them off from the system fault section. So let's see the system fault section. Okay. One second, I will turn on the utility. Okay, so here we have an utility. In the system tab, we have a system faults tab. In this tab, we have all faults displayed. All of them are turned on. If we don't need any faults like date and time not set, if it's not possible to set date and time by GSM carrier, it may be turned off. And we have no wired siren, so we may turn off these faults and write settings. In this case, our customer will be happy that he's not having any faults on the keypad, and it is easy for customer to maintain the system. Okay, so let's proceed. Pitbull Pro installation. It's sometimes local, but it may be remote. It's a difficult times right now. We are thinking about a lot of possibilities, how we can manage to do not go to the installation and manage some things remotely. So this way of connecting, I think, is the best way. And I'll try to share all the details how to do it. So let's proceed. Just in short about the device. The Pitbull Pro is a device which can be used in different types of applications. So it can be flats, cottages, small offices, shops, rented apartments, and maybe a portable security. Why portable security? Because the device is portable itself. It's really easy to disconnect it from the power supply and mount it on the different spot. So it's really portable, and it can be applied at the different installations, from the small ones to the big ones, because range of the wireless device, it's matchable with eSIM 384. And what's good about this device that it's 8-in-1 device, I could tell. It is a device which contains a GSM GPS module with 2 nano SIM cards, and it has integrated wireless module with the encrypted duplex protocol. And we have integrated motion sensor, which has pet immunity up to 40 kilograms. So it's really good if you have any pets at home. Integrated buzzer can inform us about entry or exit delays which are taking place, and integrated temperature sensor can show us information about our home, shop, flat, cottage, and etc. And it has an integrated microphone. Integrated microphone gives us opportunity to listen what is happening in the installation. If there's a burglary, we can answer the call of the device, and we could hear what is happening at the installation. So it's a good way of identifying it is a false alarm or no. Internal backup rechargeable battery, it's located in the bottom part of the device. So it is located here, and it is good that you don't need to buy it additionally. It comes in the standard package. And we have a cloud application, Eldes security, which is one of the most strong features of the device. Okay, so versatility of the device. The Pitbull Pro can be used as a standalone device. So it can be used as one device, which is a PIR sensor. And this sensor will notify the customers about alarms. It can be armed, disarmed, it can be using with the application. So we just mount this device, we install the SIM card, we make first call to the device, we get response with all the information we need, and afterwards we can control the device. So it's already functioning system, so it's really, really easy. And the step-by-step guide is in the manual, which is contained in the box, in the standard box. Pitbull Pro can be used as DIY solutions. So if the device is the standalone, in this case, it can be used as a DIY because the customers can do it easily and they don't need any additional training. They don't need to know about Eldes utility program, which requires some skills to master before you can manage to install the system. And the most important part is if more devices have to be paired, we need to be as a little bit skilled installers to make it work. Okay, so Pitbull Pro multifunctional device. The whole potential can be accessed by pairing up to 16 wireless devices and sensors. So it supports different devices. You can see in the picture what devices can be added. So it's motion sensors, it's magnetic door and window sensors, and sirens, key fobs, keypads, and smart sockets. So it's a different variety of the device we can connect to our Pitbull Pro. Preparing the configuration according to customer needs. By skilled installer, the skilled installer should identify the customer needs and provide the customer with all the devices, all the configuration it's needed. Okay, so at the moment I'm getting the response from the panel. I will just interrupt a little bit and I will show you my phone screen again. We have been waiting for response from photo command. So as we see, we saw the message photo started, and afterwards we are receiving restart course photo, and it is completed, and we see what's the version. In my case, version was already up to date. In other case, if the version is outdated, it will be, of course, updated to the newest one. So in this case, it's just the same version. And we see that the system started, and we see some system faults which are not turned off in the system. Okay, let's proceed. And we can enrich system with smart sockets or control ability of home devices. So if we connect any smart sockets or EW2 PGM output extenders, we could give additional value for customer, and customer can use these possibilities to control gates, maybe control other appliances at home, and etc. Okay, so let's proceed to the Pitbull Pro installation. The Pitbull Pro installation can be remote. What we need to do to make it happen. At first, we need to connect Pitbull Pro to the configuration software. So I will try to alter my camera angle. Okay. Okay, so we have the Pitbull Pro here, and we have the values of the devices. Pitbull Pro is already opened. We already removed the standard box. And let's presume we will pair the Pitbull Pro with two of the devices. First one is EVP free, and the second one is EVD free. So according to the manual, we need to connect Pitbull to the configuration software. So let's do it. Connect to the power socket and connect to the configuration tool. 1 second, I will try to plug in the Pitbull Pro to the power socket and connect it to the configuration tool. Okay, so the Pitbull Pro is connected, and let's start a utility. Okay, so Pitbull Pro is connecting, and when Pitbull Pro is connected, first thing we need to do is to enable the service mode. Service mode, just to double check, it's needed for us to bypass all audible alarms of the dampers and system alarms. So if we open any enclosure of the device, we will have audible alarm if we don't have service mode enabled. So let's enable this mode. And let's check for firmware updates. That's the second part which we need to make. Okay, so specified device is already up to date. So we just double check that the device firmware is up to date. Okay, so if we have a GSM card already at our place and we will be providing the GSM card, we need to place the GSM card and we will be having the GSM level showed and we will be having the time set. Of course, it may be done by the customer or by us later on after remote connection, but we can do it on the fly at the start of installation. Okay, so system faults. We have a tamper alarm. We have a GSM connection, so we have a tamper and a GSM. So the SIM card is not on the system, so it's normal to have this fault while we don't have any SIM card. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Okay, so the next step for us is prepare user section according to the customer needs. So let's presume we have one user. In my case, it's the test user, and let's write phone number of the user. And don't forget to change an SMS code, which has to be at least altered to any other one. Okay, so write the settings. So when I press write settings, they already sent to the device. Okay, if we have more users, of course, we can add more and more users according to our project or maybe customer demands. Okay, so next step, let's pair wireless devices to the Pitbull Pro. At first, I go to peripheral devices section. And as you see, wireless device, wireless mode is disabled. So we need to enable wireless mode. Let's enable. Okay, so the wireless mode is enabled. You will see a lot of devices because we are making the webinar in Eldes office. So it's a lot of devices here. But for adding, we need to remove the device from the package. So let's remove the device. Let's open the device. So device is opened. Let's remove separator of the battery. And when we remove the separator, we could add the device to the configuration. If the device was used before, we need to reset the device by pressing reset button. But from the manufacturing, it should come already reset. So let's add the device. and we see devices adding. Please wait. So while device is adding, we could cover up the device and prepare the next device. As we see, EVD3 is already added. So let's configure the zone. In our case, we are planning that EVD3 will be kitchen window. So let's type in the name of the zone accordingly. And the big attributes if they're needed. And let's write settings. Okay, so settings are written. So this device is ready to be used. We see we have all the settings already done, and we can mount the device back to the package. Okay, so device is prepared. Let's proceed to the next device. So the next device is EVD3. We should open this device by pressing harder here, or we can use a screwdriver to open it right like this. Okay, so we have two separators here at each battery. We don't need to remove two of them while we are setting up it on the table because it's connected in parallel and the device will work without one battery as well. Okay, so we have the device on the list already. We add the device. We see it's adding to the system, and let's wait. Okay, so device is added to the system. We will wait for update of the batteries and the wireless signal. Here we see it's already updated. We have 100%. Just a reminder, if you're adding wireless devices near Pitbull Pro or near eSIM 384, the length between the device and the panel should be at least 1.5 meters. If they will be placed to each other, it may be possible that you will not see the wireless device, or maybe it will be not successful pairing, so it will be frustrating for you. So just maintain length between these devices. Okay, so I'm adding two devices, and let's presume that this device will be this device name will be entrance pair. So I name it entrance pair. Okay, and I go back. Okay, so settings are already set, and we could go to the next step. Okay, so pair wireless devices with the Pitbull Pro, and next one is put stickers on the device with clear information about placement position. For clients, if we have more than two devices, it will be valuable to get some stickers to find out where they have to be mounted. So we prepared some stickers, but you of course can write them on the fly. So entrance PAR. So just mount a sticker on the device, and you can mount additional sticker. You can place additional sticker on the box because sometimes they may be dropped or somehow lost. And we have a kitchen window, so we have a sticker as well. So we just place the sticker and the device will be ready to get to the box. And when it comes to the customer will know where to place that device. We already assigned all zones according to the project, and we can connect the device to Eldes security. If we have a GSM card, it will be easy for us to do that at our place before sending. But if the SIM card will be provided by the customer, we could set it up when the customer will be installing the device himself. So this part may be skipped and done later on. It will depend how you are organizing your workflow. Okay, so next step, test Pitbull Pro and all peripheral devices. If you have a siren, if you have more devices, it's advisable to arm the device and test all of the peripheral devices which are connected to the panel. When we test all the devices, when we ensure that it sounds an alarm when all of the peripherals get into alarm, we could get to the next step. Devices should be transported without the batteries. That's the one thing. And if we are leaving the batteries in the device, we need to leave the stock spacers which are near the batteries. So after we set up the system, we need to get the spacers back before we get the device to the cardboard. Okay, and make sure to connect remotely when client is installing. So this part is the last one. So let's tag these devices to the boxes again. And after we tag all the devices, we could place additional sticker on the box and write the zone, or we can write the zone name exactly on the carton. Okay, so let's pack another device. Sorry, I forgot to mount the spacer. Okay, and device ready to be shipped to the customer. Okay, and don't forget to type something on the box for customer to know which box goes where. Okay, and at the ending, when the customer will receive the device, make sure to guide customer at all parts of installation. When the customer will be mounting the devices, it is good to tell that the customer can see the manuals of each device in our website. So we can go to eldesalarms.com. We could pick each product. We could see all information about product, and we could see the user guide. User guides provides us all information how they should be mounted, what is in the box, what should be heights of the mounting, and how should mounting be done. So this information can be given to customer by calling him, or of course this information can be done in the manuals. And of course the paper manuals are provided in the boxes as well. Okay, so when the customer will receive the parcel, it will be the hardest part for him. He will open up and should call him. We should instruct him what he should do. So firstly, for us, it's needed that the Pitbull Pro should be connected to the power supply, and Pitbull Pro should be connected with the SIM card. In this case, we could already initiate remote connection to ensure that all the customer is doing correctly. So when customers mounting the devices, we need to ensure that these devices will have good wireless range. We should test it in the peripheral devices section. So I will change my camera angle again. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's proceed. So if we have a project, we could mark where devices should be mounted. So we can provide a plan in which we show in which location the device should be mounted. And we could mark it by writing down the zone name, which is written on the box. So it will ease up the installation for customer. If area of installation exceeds 150 square meters, and in some cases, if there's building with or not usual maybe structure, in this case, we may find valuable for us to check the best ways of mounting the device. So we need to know where we propose customer to mount a device to have the best wireless device range. And as you see in the picture, client can be advised to use double adhesive tape instead of standard screwing the device with or standard mounting screws. Okay, and the next part, how to add more features remotely. So, sorry. When we are having new features, it's good for us to know about them. We send the release notes where you can find all information about new releases, what is the new features, what is bugs we fixed, what is updated ones, and we could propose a client new features. And it is good that we get the feedback from existing customers. We get the possibility to upsell new services, and I will try to show you most recommended ones. So let's see the first one. The first one is a EKB2 additional actions. So let's go to the configuration of the device, and I will show you how to set up fast actions from the EKB from EKB2. Okay. So let's connect remotely. We're connecting remotely to the device. And if we have a feature with a quick control of EKB2, we need to ensure that our firmware version is up to date, because if we have really old firmware, we don't have these new features. We will have to update the firmware. And if you want to know how to do it, we already done it by photo comment. So let's proceed. The function how to add quick actions to the EKB2 can be found in peripheral device section. Then we go to the other section, and when we go to the keypads. In my case, there is no keypads connected, but if we will select that is EKB2, we can be able to add new assignments for each of the button of EKB2. So it's allowing us to have from 0 to 9, and each button can have individual action. Let's see what it is. We can arm the system instantly. We could arm the system with exit delay. We could arm the system in stay mode, and we turn on, we turn off the outputs. We can toggle outputs or maybe pulse on, pulse off output. So why is it valuable? In some cases, if a customer has already a lot of automation examples, if we use gates, if we use some house appliances, lights, maybe curtains, and other possible automation in their house, they may be using the cloud or maybe using the keypad. But the way how they use it with EKB2 was not very easy. And right now with one click, we get the most demanded features for a customer. So let's presume that we need to automate the gates. with one press of the button. So let's pick that we will get a pulse on the button 1. We pick the PGM output, which it will be, and we get a result that after pressing first button for 2 seconds, the gates will open if the C1 is connected to the gates. So it's really easy to get a custom menu features because the keypad mostly is located near the entry, and it could be that the customer is standing near the keypad when he needs to open the gates. So it is good for customer to have the feature. Okay, so how to change the scheduler of arm, disarm, or maybe stay arm? Some customers may not have or already have that automation, so let's see how it should look. If it's a new installation, have different partition names. Okay, so let's shortly change the partition names. Okay. Okay, so partition names are changed. And let's go to automation. In automation section, we pick what we will control. Let's control the system, and we pick which partition we want to arm. In most cases, customer need to disarm the system into stay mode because it's a stay arming for night usage, or we need to disarm if it's an office. It may be after working hours, but you need to arm the office if all the workers are left the installation. So let's make the simple automation example. When we arm the system at 11:23 p.m. and we disarm the system at 7 a.m. Okay, so let's pick arm stay. Let's pick which partition it will be. So let's presume it will be home and the garage. And let's pick the time. Okay, so the time will be 23 p.m. and we have weekdays. We need to pick which weekdays it will be activated. So we already done this one, and we can pick the system control and make schedule for the morning. Okay, so if we have arm stay at the evening, we need to disarm the system, but we have a lot of options. So what do we need to pick? We have a disarm the system, we have disarm system from stay, and disarm system from any. So if we are arming to the stay mode, I would advise to use disarm from stay. Because if we use different types like disarm system, it will disarm system when it is armed but not stay armed. When we have disarm from any, it will disarm system from any status. And in home usage, it will be not very convenient, because if the system is armed and stay, it will disarm, that's okay. But when customer leave houses not scheduled basis, and we arm the system because we are not at home, the system will automatically be disarming each morning. So it will be not advisable to have that automation. So we need to pick disarm from stay. That will be most appropriate one. Okay, and let's write settings. So what we have done? We have done 2 automation scenarios. First one, that we need to arm the system in stay mode, and we need to arm these 2 partitions, home and garage partitions, and we need to do it at 11 p.m. At 7 a.m. we need to disarm from stay, home and garage partitions. So that's just a simple solution for our clients for a new automation. Of course, if the clients have already and use already the schedules, we could alter the times, because the timings can be changed only by installer. So it's possible for us to alter these times. Okay, and the next automation type which we can propose would be if we have some automation scenarios. So let's presume the customer is already using some automation. Let's go to the utility and let's manage some scenarios. Okay, so the customer may be using scenario in which the customer is turning on the lightning on maybe lights from C4 when it disarms the garage partition. So it's good automation. But for some customers, maybe they're not needing that at all, and they may ask for us to change that schedule to make it not happen or make it happen in the different timings or from the different partition changes. So we can add additional timings, like if customer is getting back at from work at 6 p.m. to the 11 p.m. and if it's different timings, it will not work. So we can decide for customer and we could adapt the system for customer according to his needs. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so and home automation scenarios. We can schedule up actuation of previously manually controlled devices. Let's presume it's gates of the system. If the system controls some gates, customer is able to actuate these gates by key fob, by cloud, by phone, by keypad. But in some cases, customer is wanting to have an automated scenario. So we go to automation section and we try to set it up. So let's presume our customer have a gates and he tells that it's good for me to have these gates open when some partition is disarmed, because I get back from home and I need for system to be disarmed. I disarm the system, but I need to open the gates additionally. It's not easy for me. It's additional clicks, so we can manage to do it automatically. So we get to the output control, we pick, it will be the garage, and action will be switch on for a time. We'll initiate the gates to be opened. Impulse of the 2 seconds mostly is appropriate. And we pick what system event it will be. So we pick the disarm from stay or disarm from any. We don't need to get gates to open when system disarms from night arming. So that will be not appropriate mostly for customers. But when system disarms from full arm, it will be most appropriate to have some automation. So we pick that garage and home partition. We pick one of these two, and we pick that disarming of one of these partitions will initiate our switching for 2 seconds. So the customer will happy because he has an automation scenario which saves time for him each time he gets back from home. And we see each our conditions are located here. We can see all the information about our automations. Okay, so next scenario. Remove permission to control devices which should be controlled, which should be controlled automatically. So if we have a heating automation, it mostly is controlled by some temperature scenarios. And in some cases, we don't need to allow customer to bypass this. We need to just ensure that the customer is getting the results of already preset automation. And maybe we left that possibility. So how we can alter this in the system? Let's see in configuration. In output section, at each output settings, we have a setting which shows control output via cloud services and keypads. If we remove the setting, it will be not allowed for customer to initiate the output manual. It will be working only by automation. So in this case, we'll turning off, and in the application, the PGM output will be not displayed. So it's really good to have that sometimes. Okay, so adding new automation scenarios for automation control and devices, we already covered that. It could be a different scenarios, and for more automation scenarios, you of course can use additional information which we provide in the automation webinar. So link is provided here. I will try to copy the link to help you find this information, but this webinar can be found in our Eldes YouTube channel. So question and answer.